Right, let's get this cracking. Right, shalom, shalom. We're GMS England, coming back with another live, giving all praises, honor, and glory to
Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushai, Bashem, Hakudash.
And always we give double honors to the apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone, who rule well, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. So yeah, we're just going to come with a live today, all through the Spirit. Just going to bring out the precepts and just see where it goes through the Spirit, man. So yeah, read what you got. Right?
This is the book of Jeremiah 28 and verse 8. It reads, "The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence."
Right, man. So yeah, that's what our job is, man. We come out and we prophesy. We prophesy through what the scriptures say, from what the men of old who are coming back today, you know, have laid down in the book, man. You know. And one of the prophecies that we are heavy on is the destruction of this wicked kingdom, man, and the rulers of it, which is Esau, Edom. All right, you know, it's been prophesied that they was going to rule. Right, it's prophesied way back in Genesis that Esau and his ilk were going to rule, man. Right, they were going to rule, and they're going to have the fat of the land. They were going to have the you know, the sword, man, the power of the sword, right? So now we're coming into the time where that's going to be taken away from them, right? When Yahweh Shai comes back, man.
Peace out.
You call first, man.
Yeah. This is Obadiah chapter 1, starting from verse 2. You want to do that?
That's right. Okay, go straight there.
I'll start from, verse 1. The vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Most High, concerning Edom, we have heard a rumor from the Lord Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. Thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, his habitation is high, and that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? So, of course, that's talking about the mental state of Esau, Edom, because we know that majority of them, especially the elites out there, of whom are pushing this MOTB, they have this God complex. They want to be able to see what's in your mind, and of course, not just see what's in your mind, but rather control what goes into your mind. You know, people were joking around in this Neuralink update, because I think they had another participant. I think he might be quadriplegic. Yeah, quadriplegic. Where now he uses they could use AI combined with the implant, you know, to have his old voice that he had based on his former recordings. But people are joking around in the comment section saying that, you know, they're gonna try and get some sleep, when eventually if they take the chip, you know, they're gonna start to receive adverts, man. That's a reality as well, because even in Black Mirror, it actually reflected that in I think one of the first episodes, man, where the woman has some synthetic parts in her brain, and then she just kept receiving adverts. She had to upgrade the subscription service in order to actually retain your sanity and be able to essentially sleep properly, man. So with that God complex, Esau wants to be able to really control people. That's why it says here in I'll read verse 3 again. It says, "The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee." So of course Esau thinking, okay, through his technology to achieve that transhumanism agenda, he will be like the Most High. You know, referring back to Isaiah 14 and 14.
You just made me remind me of something. There was this Russian billionaire. I don't know what he's doing. I ain't checked in on him for a while. I can't even remember his name, but he was trying to create this technology where he could put his, and it's like that movie. Is it Transcendence?
Yeah, what the one with
what's his name?
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah,
the main actor.
Yeah,
I forgot his name.
Johnny Depp, right?
Calm.
Yeah, so he was trying to create this technology where he could put his consciousness into the system. Yeah. And then when his body dies, he could put it into some artificial type of cybernetic body, man. These devils, they want to live forever, man. Yeah. And they think they're going to live forever. That's their downfall, man. And that's what it says, the pride of thy heart. Yeah. They're so proud that they think they can do that. You know, they think, you know, we can get the scriptures, but no, they think they're above the Most High. They think they're on His level. Yeah. That's why they want to tell you how they think the earth and everything surrounding it was created with the whole Big Bang Theory and the Earth is. I was watching something the other day, and I think it was an advert on Netflix about this creature called the panda. Is it a pandalin? Anyway, it's this armored creature, right? And they claim that this creature, I might be getting the time wrong, but they said about 84 million years. And that's the bullshit that Esau spews, man. The Earth is not as old as that, but he now has everyone believing his way of things instead of the Most High's way of things. Is there more that you got to read?
Verse 4 says, "Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord." And quite literally, the Esau Edom is amongst the stars with the space stations, as well as they want to try and do something called space hotels as well, which I think the beginning of that, well, the so-called beginning of that is really the space tourism. The latest one being with Katy Perry and them lot. The news that you've heard about that. All in all, that just
Carl King, that's another one. She's a news.
Yeah, okay, but that was all fake.
Carl King.
Gail King. That was all fake anyway.
Calm.
That was just Esau. That's just enough. Who knows what they were doing while they was using that as a distraction. Because that's what they do, man. It's sleight of hand, isn't it? They show you one thing, everyone's talking about it. Why they're doing that? They're doing something else, and with that Jeff Bezos involved as well. There's something dodgy there. You don't send celebrities into space, man. That's not how it works. And they can only go so far anyway. And they showed you that with, they didn't say they went into space. They said they went, they went to a particular part of the atmosphere and then came back again.
Yeah, just that
whole space exploration, man. They can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, it says in Job 14:5 that he has set bounds that he cannot pass, man.
Right.
So that's in everything, man. Esau, Edom's kingdom can only go but so far. When it comes to him trying to leave the Earth's atmosphere, he can only go but so far. You've got the Van Allen belt that restricts him. Even the extent of the judgment he can inflict on the prophets. Because he is going to get his hands on some of us, man. Some of us will have to be martyrs for the truth. But even with that, he can only go but so far. You have to think about it like Satan had authority to fuck with Job, but the one thing the Heavenly Father said to Satan was, you can't kill him, man. You can do anything else, but you can't kill him. So it's like the Lord sets those bounds, man. So when we're here preaching the gospel of a new kingdom, it's because the words of the Heavenly Father don't go out void. So we the scriptures say we have a more sure word of prophecy, man. And that's what we edify the flock with, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, get yours and then we go back to over there. There's more.
This is just to back up the point that Father Ayman Wala made about the Most High pointing Esau's bounds that he can't pass, which is Job 14:5. This is 2 Ezra 6, starting at verse 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth it. Now, am I speaking that for a second?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, the reason why I say it is because not only has the Most High appointed Esau's bounds, but he set it up to where Esau would be in rulership at the end of the world. So how do we know where we are in terms of prophetic times? We know that we're at the end because who's ruling? The Edomites are in power. So therefore, the only place they can go from here is down, because that's what the Most High has ordained for him. Whereas, like you said, you got Jeff Bezos backing this venture into space. That's all theatrics, man. They just do that stuff to make the public think, Esau's so great, and one day we're gonna have hotels on Mars and we'll be able to go to the moon. Esau's just projecting that image, but it's all fake. Behind the scenes, they know they can't go out into
Do you know why they do that? Do you know why because there's a film called I was back to these movies, because the movies, they're trying to tell you things in the movies, man. And there's one movie called I don't know what it's called, but it's with Matt Damon, right? You brothers might know which one it is. And basically, they've been, you know, there's a war that has occurred, probably World War III, I can't remember, on Earth.
Yeah.
And all the poor people are left behind, right?
Elysium?
I think it's that one.
Elysium.
Elysium. And there's like a space station type thing where all the rich people live.
Yeah.
So he knows, man. He knows that this Earth is going to get to that point where that World War III is going to happen. But he thinks that he's going to be able to go past that
Right.
and create this utopia for the rich.
Precept.
You know, no, powerful, man. Yeah, get what you got, man. Read what you got.
Just to back you up, right? This is Psalms 49 and 11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. Yeah, so just backing up Officer on one's point, man. You know, as you brought up in Obadiah, you know, the pride of thine heart have deceived thee, man.
Yeah.
You know, because of Esau's pride, he actually believes that there's some way he can overact the prophecies and extend his time that the Most High has set for him, man. You know, but he doesn't understand that the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, as it says in Daniel 2, he removeth kings and setteth up kings. He changeth the times and the seasons. You know, Daniel brought forth that wisdom. And it's like, you know, this devil, he, you know, he got his dirty hands on the Bible. You know, what is thou to do to declare my statutes? Gave us the slave Bible, all right? Took out the Apocrypha, but he still couldn't come to terms with the prophecies that's written within the Bibles, man. Because even when you ask Google, who are the Edomites today, AI Overview is going to tell you they don't exist.
True.
You know, so Esau, you know, with all the tampering he's done, he can never really come to terms with the truth of what the Bible has to say.
Come on, man.
And he can't take it with it. Listen, we got the Apocrypha right here, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't take, you can't control this truth, man. Yeah, I finished reading.
Who are the Edomites today?
Bro, I was gonna bring it out, man.
What does it say?
It says, the Edomites, this is AI Overview, descendants of Esau, Edom from the Bible, are a complex topic with no definitive answer about their exact identity today.
It's hiding.
That's that. You see, that just actually annoys me, man.
Demon means intelligent.
The deception, these wicked Edomites, man. They're doing everything in their power. You know, if Esau, Edom in the scriptures was prophetic to be the ones that were going to be ruling forever and ever, yeah, that's us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, we're the Edomites. That's white people.
God,
so cool, you know. But because they know of their impending doom, right? You know, they want to hide that historical and future fact, man. That, you know, they are the Edomites, the so-called white people.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to be destroyed, man.
I've got a precept here. Ecclesiastes 6:4 and 16. This proves that all the nations are here. Everybody's still here, right? Including the Edomites, because one of the end time prophecies that they're going to be exterminated off the face of the earth forever.
Yeah, we're going to
All right.
finish that in Obadiah.
Good. Ecclesiastes 4 and 16. There is no end of all the people, even of all that have been before them.
That's a cut.
They also that come after shall not rejoice in him. Surely this is also vanity and vexation of spirit.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's a cut to it, man.
Right, because believe what you want to believe, but the scripture says that what? There's no end of the nations, man, of the people. So that means what? All the nations that the Lord created are still here, man. All right, they're going under different. A lot of these, they're going under different names because you know you've had certain geographical movements on the earth, so people think they're this and some people think they're that. When we know who's who, man.
Yeah.
According to the scriptures, right? You know, you got Jake's battling to be Hamites, man, Kemetic Hamites, right? Because they look at some old history of this, you know, some kingdom that doesn't exist anymore. So why would you even want to do that? We're waiting for the kingdom to come. You know, we know what's to come. We want to be part of that kingdom, not something that's dead and buried, man. And those people had our people in slavery, man. So why would you want to follow after that anyway, man? Let's finish off. We'll continue on.
Alright, so it says here in, start from verse 5 again. Obadiah 1 and 5. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? And of course, you could also liken that as a representation of Esau's greed, man.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, always wanted to gather things, steal things, and really you can see it literally where he invokes wars, or at least proxy wars as well, especially over there in the Middle East, to gather resources, trying to obtain oil and whatever he needs essentially to push forward his agenda. He's going to be violent with it, man. He's going to keep it all to himself.
Yeah, they don't know when to stop, man.
Can't.
I mean, look what they're trying to do. Burkina Faso with this Ibrahim Traore. He's pissing them off, man, because they're kicking France out. Them African countries that are still dealing with France, right? They have to pay for their francs. They have to pay to use francs, and France doesn't even use francs.
They use the euro.
They use the euro. So how wicked is that?
That's actually mad.
That's just to keep control of these countries and keep reaping from them, man. And you said something. It's like when they don't need anything. They have everything already. It's just that they want everything because they're greedy, man. That's why it says that.
Can I bring us precept?
Come on.
Just to add to what you just read there, to back you up. John 10:10 says, "The thief cometh not but for to kill, to steal, to kill, and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they may have it more abundantly." Yeah, just as we learn more in the truth, just observations. We know what he's doing in other countries and all of that. He's got his bases out there, oppressing the people, but just generally as well, the ease that they're and other nations. Esau. When I say a word, I pick up. I really make it. But Esau, right? He's about death, man. Even on a smaller scale, like with all the smoking, and that's the guy. The boxing last week coming out of the boxing or any kind of football, any kind of event. It's about violence, like the football, the hooliganism, the smoking, the fighting after, the violence after. So that's what they're about. So it's their attitude. If they can't control it, they have to ruin it. So it's about rule or ruin.
And they have a destructive. Not only are they have a destructive way of creating things for destruction, they love to be involved in it. Any new thing that they bring out, like this whole vaping stuff, Esau's the first to jump on that stuff. They're the ones jumping off of buildings and jumping around mountains and stuff like that.
Oh, you mean base jumping?
Yeah,
and
all that
bungee
stuff
jumping.
that they do. We value our what we have, man, as whatever lives we have. We don't risk it like that. No, they don't believe in anything.
If I may,
They're literally soulless,
if I may, that's a good thing. That's a good indicator of a characteristic of an Edomite. They're always tempting the Lord. And they take pleasure in it. What do they say when they go up Mount Everest? Oh, we conquered Mount Everest. Because they like to do things to kind of show that, I've gone against God, and look, I'm still standing. So when they do things like parachuting or bungee jumping or base jumping, they really get a high from that because it makes them feel like they've somehow cheated death and got one over on the Most High. But nobody gets one over on the Most High. When it's your time to die, it's your time to die. But really, we shouldn't tempt the Lord. That's in Matthew 4.
I got a little article on that as well. Whilst I was scrolling the news this morning, a skydiver actually died. About 2 days ago. A woman here. I'll just read the headline. It says skydiver, age 32, who died after jumping from plane at 10,000 feet, left suicide note, man. And this expert here as well on I think BBC News, they mentioned that she's done over 400 skydives, man. So of course, it's one of those sayings where they say 99 days for the thief and 1 day for the owner. So the Most High had her on the timer where, okay, for this very one, you're gonna have to die.
So you said she was a suicide note.
Yeah. Let me. I'll show it to the camera here. Hold on. You know, that's the woman over there. The article in the Mirror. You can type up BBC News. You probably see it there too. Yeah, this is.
I mean, that means she intended to kill herself.
Yeah.
So she hopped on that helicopter or that plane knowing that this is the last jump.
Yeah. I mean, the Most High put the spirit within her anyway. So
Yeah, that's. Let me get the picture of that.
people naturally also can die. You know, if the parachute fails as well. You know, but for her case, you know, I guess.
But truth be told, what you just said is right. I mean, whether she planned to commit suicide or she took that jump and the chute didn't open because it failed, it's all the Lord, man.
Yeah.
Of the Lord.
Yeah, so he put her in her mind to go and take her own life, man. And that's another trait of these Edomites, man. You know, they haven't got the willpower. You know, they haven't got the fortitude or the strength to deal with suffering. Right? That's why we're different. We're different. We're a different breed from everybody else, man. You know, the Lord has put us through the ringer, rightfully so. But if it was to be any of these other nations, man, there wouldn't be much of them left by now, man. But we just continue to strive, you know, through adversity and multiply. Right? They try using all the you know, the means to kill us off, poverty and abortions and stuff like that, and just
Contraception.
all that sort of stuff, trying to stop us from growing. But the Lord said that we would multiply. Right?
That's why we say Kwam Yasharala, means
Right.
rise. And I tell you what, they don't want us to rise because if they know they're going down, so they want us to go down with them too. And it says in Proverbs 4:16, for they sleep not except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. You see?
They're desperate for that.
Desperate.
Yeah, but you know what? Esau also understands that in order for him to remain in power, he needs to have Jake sinning. That's why, you know, for a long time, probably even still now, pork was the cheapest meat you could get in the hood. You know, and you know he paints abominable food as a delicacy. You know, like if you want to eat fancy, you gotta have your lobster, your calamari, and all of that. But all of these things are abominable, man. But it's for a reason, and it says in Psalms 81 and verse 10, a couple verses. It says, "I am the Lord thy power, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt. Open thy mouth wide, and I will fill it. But my people would not hearken to my voice, and Israel would none of me." And you still have that to this day. You know, a prophet is without honor in his own country. You know, we still get Jakes that walk by, that scoff. And we had a bunch of ninjas walk by the camp yesterday. A bunch of
Same
ninjas
thing we was talking about.
and one girl.
Yeah.
Right? You know how that goes. You know, but they didn't stop to think, you know what, man, these guys are dressed a bit different to us. You know, and they're a bunch of, let's say, black brothers in unity. You know, let's see what they're talking about. They didn't give a flying toss. Right? and really, they're rejecting the voice of the Lord. Right?
So they're rejecting the voice of the Lord because they're hearing the voice of Esau.
Right.
They want to be like him, man. You know, they want to follow after them.
And the thing is, Salakia, Esau also has an influence on the music that Jake consumes. So even if you told that to them, you told them the truth that, you know, the music's actually influencing you, or they can have a response as though, no, I'm just listening to black music only. No, who's actually controlling the musicians of whom you consume music from? Then you realize who's truly in control.
May I say something on that, Bashar? There's recordings of that guy who was a high-level witch, and he left John Todd. And he came out and talked about how they do mastering on a lot of these records, where they take it to these witches and they pray and they put spells over the master copies. Then they reproduce it and put those out to the public. And sometimes, like, you know, with my condition, I hear voices, and I've actually heard like whispering. Like sometimes when I listen to music, you can hear the whispering, like another voice as well as a singer on the tracks. Now They do it at a frequency that most people won't hear.
Yeah.
But that's what they do. So when you got young Jake coming out saying, "Yeah, I only listen to hip hop or whatever music they listen to," they're not knowing that really that the hand that, as they say, rocks the cradle in that over that whole thing is Esau. Esau's controlling that whole industry and is using it to utilizing it as a weapon. They've weaponized the music to get Jake to destroy themselves. So it's not a light thing. It's not like, yeah, I'm just listening to this because I like the beat or whatever. No, you've got to be a bit more circumspect and understand the real sinister agenda behind what they're promoting to the young people. I mean, those guys that walked past the camp yesterday, they were just products of that, man. Like they've been produced on a conveyor belt and come out at the end in that form, man. Like, just
there is a monolith. There is a monolith with our people now. They all are running after the same thing. The majority of them. They all want to listen to the same prep music. They want to listen to dress the same. And I was thinking, like, if Esau, as a nation, if they knew who they really were, because talking about the music, it made me think about their music, what you would call like heavy metal and stuff like that, right? Death metal and all that, right? That's their stuff. And like, if we was to listen to that, that would destroy our souls. But it would. But to them, it kind of almost strengthens them. That's what they're about. And if they, I was thinking, if they were to understand what they would truly, who they truly are, they would just run right on this earth. And I'm talking from the highest to the lowest, and just be what they are. Because you imagine the wickedness on that, how extreme it would be if they really knew, we're just wicked people, man. It's in our. That's who we are. That's us. Who our souls are about. They'd be running around murdering, R-ing, you know what I mean, or graping, as we say, and all sorts of madness, man. You know what I mean? Messing with. They already do these things, but I'm saying they would all be doing it because they pretend. What I'm trying to get to is that they pretend. Some of them pretend that they're not what they are. Do you know what I'm saying? So they pretend, either much pretending that they're good people and that they're righteous and they're heroes and stuff. And ultimately they can't be. It's not in their spirit.
I've got a precept to back you up, if I may.
There's a big one here as well.
So, like, if you're do you want to finish or?
I want him to finish Obadiah, but we can go around and go back to that. No.
Oh, yeah, okay. Just to back up what you were saying right there about the Edomites' true nature, it's proven in the scriptures. So this says in 1 Maccabees 1, starting at verse 7, so Alexander reigned 12 years. So Alexander was an Edomite, Alexander the Great, reigned 12 years and then died, and his servants bare rule, everyone in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves, and so did their sons after them. Many years, and here's the point, and evils were multiplied in the earth. So, for that to be written in the scripture, that means that, okay, the earth was already in a pretty bad state anyway. But when them Edomites came to power as the Greeks, evils were even further multiplied on the earth. So, and what does the scripture say? It says something along the lines of, as the ruler of a city is, so are they that dwell therein. So when Esau's put in power, basically all the people under him end up getting pretty much corrupted. And that's what we're seeing in these last days right now. Who's in power again? Esau. And what's the overall morality of the world like? It's complete shit because everybody's following after the ways of an unjust man.
Morals are at an all-time low, man. And now, the scriptures talk about it, like darkness for light.
Good for evil,
good for evil,
man.
You know, that's the world we're living in. You talk against the wickedness, and you're deemed as the evil ones, man. It's crazy.
Got that precept before we continue on Obadiah to support Kalab's point. This is Ecclesiasticus 10:2. As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers, and what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. So of course, again, the wicked ruler, people will be under that wicked vibration, hence, those evils will be quite widespread in that city, just to support Kalau's point.
I just looked up that someone mentioned about birth control. I just looked up the Margaret Sanger. I'm just going to hit a bullet point on her because Alexander the Great was pushed around as a great man, you know, growing up in the schools and etc. etc. But he brought evil in the earth when you get into the Apocrypha. So Margaret Sanger is very much the same, you know, as in modern times. What she did, right? I just tapped it in. Who was Margaret Sanger? Eugenics program. It says, woman rebel Margaret Sanger spearheaded the birth control movement in the United States, coining the term birth control or eugenics, and opening the first birth control clinic in the country. And it doesn't say it because maybe things are being a bit more hidden now. But it was Edomite, it was Jake's, you know, the tribes, Negro, Latinos, and Native American Indians. What she was pushing to.
It should. It doesn't say that in that article right there. Does it mention eugenics?
Eugenics, yeah.
We want the definition or something.
Yeah.
I could look up the definition.
No,
Yeah,
it's good.
I got it right here. So it says eugenics in the Wikipedia. It says eugenics is a set of largely discredited beliefs and practices that aim to improve the genetic quality of a human population. So of course
they've done that down.
Yeah.
So what that really means is to remove those that you deem unworthy for society, right?
The thinning.
So basically getting rid of Jacob, right, and even Esau. That's basically what she was doing.
Yeah, Planned Parenthood. That's what it is. Planned Parenthood.
And there should be better articles. I'm saying, you know, but there should be, I'm not saying, you know, you got a good one, but I'm saying there should be something there that really goes in on her, man. It's well known now.
He said Margaret Sanger was a prominent
a lot of stuff now.
American nurse, right? Because you hear good things about nurses, but
I'll tell you what,
a lot of nurses.
I'll ask for her quotes.
Right. Khan. All right. Margaret Sanger's quotes, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh,
About Negroes or something like that. Because she said some stuff, man. It's not like she didn't say anything.
Ruthless.
You know, and then you got these Negro women lining up to just because they're being wicked.
Margaret Sanger's quotes about so-called black people.
So good. It's just so come on.
Tell you what, I'll do it again. Margaret Sanger's quotes about black people. Right. The one. Margaret Sanger. We should hire 3 or 4 coloured ministers, preferably with social services backgrounds and with engaging personalities. The most successful education approach in the Negro is through a religion appeal. We don't want the world to go out that we want the exterminate. I'll read that again. Go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population and the minister in the minister in the man who can strengthen out the idea if it ever occurs to any of these more rebellious members. 2, eugenics stabilization is an urgent need. That's the second quote. We must prevent manipulation of this bad stock. That's 2. The most merciful thing that we formally do to one of these infant members is to kill it. I ain't been saying that word for a long time because I'm always thinking of. He says the most successful thing that a family does to one of its infant members is to kill it.
Right.
I haven't said that word for a long time, but I'm going
See?
Yeah.
And
last one. Birth control must lead ultimately to the cleaner race. Margaret Sanger, woman, morality and birth control, New York. That's what she's saying, man. That's 4 quotes.
And you know, and first off, it shows you that the Edomite woman is just as evil as the Edomite man.
That's right.
And she talks about clean. Our people took these devils out of the. We can get the scriptures on that as well. Clean these devils up, man.
Job 30.
Yeah, get into Job and all of that. Let's get back into finish Obadiah, man, because you know we want to talk about their downfall, man. But we talk about all the other stuff too.
I've got a precept after.
You know, I mean, they got had to get cleaned up, man. These people are despicable. They're filthy, man. They don't know about cleanliness, man. There's videos out there on YouTube about this. Some Edomite woman talks about how when she jumps in the shower every 6 days, right? That she literally jumps in the shower, puts the shampoo in her hair, lets the water run down, and she jumps out, man.
So you don't wash it? Do you not wash her back or a crack?
She's just not washing the nani, the crack, nothing.
Yeah.
So the stench.
Nani.
Yeah.
And they laugh at us when we talk about using washcloths and loofahs and all that sort of stuff, and they just barely doing anything.
Yeah.
Bare minimum.
The pub you see every day, man. You know, basically when Edomites, do their business. It's not every one of them that goes to wash their hands after, man.
Yeah, I mean, look,
If they touch water, that sprinkle, then
let's be slack. I didn't mean to cut you off. But you can say that. They're not every one of them are like that. But you have to show the extremes, because the extremes are what they really are, man.
most of them.
Yeah. The extremes of them is what they really are.
Yeah.
If I may say as well, a way to spot an Edomite and a Jake who may be an Israelite foreigner is you'll notice that the Israelite foreigner Jake's hygiene is often personal hygiene is often a lot better than the straight up Edomite.
Yeah,
Case in point being, and another thing as well, their lust for blood. Like when you see an Edomite say like, no, I don't like raw steak, I like it well done. That's usually a sign that they ain't an Edomite, man. Because them Edomites, that's their nature to be filthy and to eat raw meat.
Because that's in the scriptures, man. You know what I mean? We haven't come to this conclusion, and I say we, because remember we've been taught, man. We've been taught through the Spirit, okay? But the conclusion doesn't come to this because there was no clues, man. The Most High left the clues, man. Right? So the clues are there, so we would know, or it would come out at the appropriate time who Jacob and Esau is, man. Because ultimately they're the two main players in the Lord's movie, man.
Yeah.
Right, you got the antagonist and the protagonist, man.
That's it.
Right, Esau's the antagonist and Jacob is the protagonist, man. Right, and the Lord directed all of this from the very start, man. And I was reading the Supplanting today, man. You know, and it's funny how when you read it, you know, Jacob's mother, you know, tells him, you know, what to do. He said, yeah, she said, she hears over here. She said, yeah, go and get the meat, go and get the lamb, prepare the meat and give it to your father, right? But, you know, to the unlearned, you would think that, yeah, she's just getting involved in. Oh, man, the Most High had that set up from the very beginning.
Yeah.
All right, from the very beginning. So, you know, Esau was meant to get the blessing that he got, which he's used it very well, right? But we have the ultimate blessing, because the scriptures say what, that he's gonna serve us, man.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he's gonna serve us.
That's it.
You know, for us for a time.
There's another infamous woman, right? I'll show you the image, then I'm gonna read it, right? Right. This is her name is Madame Delphine de Dolores, right? She's a lily white lady. Right, it says the dark secrets of Madame Delphine de Dolores, a creeping account of New Orleans' infamous mistress and her mansion of horror. It says, in the early 1880s, Madame Delphine de Dolores tortured and murdered countless enslaved individuals inside her New Orleans mansion. This is her shocking story. Madame Delphine de Dolores was a woman whose name strikes fear unto hearts of all who hear of it. Right, I think that's the book as well. The Secrets of Madame Delphine de Dolores. So things are coming out, as you say. Things be coming out about ease, what they were doing to Jakes.
Yeah.
You know, she actually tortured them, and she done all kinds of decrepit things. The more you get into it, the rabbit hole goes deep. She would cut off hands. She would stick them into on the head, make them to look like crabs.
Wow.
So that when they formed like a crab. Jake, this was she'd be doing it to pure Jake slaves. So boy, that's you know, the rabbit hole goes deep about
Yeah,
it.
but see, like I said, man, Esau is Esau, whether it's a man or a woman, they're the same. All right, it's just that the only difference is the physical. You know, obviously you can go into the whole emotions and stuff, but you know, what's the word I'm looking for? The way a man thinks is obviously different from a woman, but they're both evil. And they're both evil, man. And all the things that them Edomite women did during our slavery, man. You know, getting Jake's killed. You know, because they lust after Jake, and then they, you know,
It's a setup, isn't it?
yeah, they set Jake up, man. And they've still been doing that today, or to this day, man. There's a story of this. There's a recent thing in the news about some Edomite woman calling a autistic Jake, 5-year-old Jake boy, a nigger, man.
Oh
In
yeah.
the pot.
Yeah.
And now
yeah,
see these Edomites are showing their arse now because they've created a GoFundMe where this bitch has raised probably nearly $500,000, man.
What? Because she called.
Because she called a young Jake autistic boy a nigger.
So why are they giving her money?
Because she's been caught out.
What's her name?
So
Madame
they don't want to be
Delphine
they don't want to be
Delphine
cancelled.
Dolores.
You know what I mean? They don't want them to be cancelled. Yeah, let's get the precept.
Wisdom of Solomon 2 and verse 10. And really, you know, this chapter is a good chapter to read to understand the psyche of an Edomite. This is Wisdom of Solomon 2 and 10. Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient grey hairs of the age. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. That's why, you know, you got Jake going to prison doing dog years, man, for certain offences, but then the Edomite counterpart, he might not even get community service. You know, he might not even see the inside of a prison.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Verse 12. Therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, and he is clean contrary to our doings. He upbraideth us with our offending the law, and objective to our infamy, the transgression of our indication. You know, they can't stand the sight of us Israelites, especially an Israelite in this knowledge, man. You know? Verse 13 says, he professeth to have the knowledge of the Most High, and he calleth himself the child of the Lord. He was made to reprove our thoughts. He is grievous even unto us to behold, for his life is not like other men's. His ways are of another fashion. Right? We are esteemed of him as counterfeits. He abstaineth from our ways as from filthiness. He pronounceth the end of the just to be blessed, and maketh his boast that the Most High Yahweh is his father, which is what we do. All right, but you see, Esau is so proud, as we've been reading in Obadiah 1. His attitude is, verse 17. Let us see if his words be true, and let us prove what shall happen in the end of him. For if the just man be the son of the Most High, he will help him and deliver him from the hand of his enemies. Let us examine him with despitefulness and torture, that we may know his meekness and prove his patience. So you see, these devils are determined on, you know, yeah, okay, you believe in that name, you want to call on Yahweh Shem Shai, you don't want to bow down to us, you don't want to take the sea hit. All right, cool. Well, you stand on business then. You know, and his whole thing is to humiliate us and get us to submit to him. But you know, the elect, man, even if it means losing their lives, man, they ain't gonna submit to no devil, man. You know, but again, this goes to show you just the mindset of these people, man. So when you see these Edomites walking around, man, you gotta know that this is how they think of us, especially the wicked elite of them.
Yeah, man, that's great slacker, because I got one that just to back that up as well, man, if you don't mind. This is Psalm 73, and I'm going to start from the top. It says, truly, Yahweh is good to Israel, even to such as are of a clean heart. So, you know, because the scriptures, you know, the Lord says, well, I have loved thee.
Yep.
saith the Lord. And, you know, he says, but we say, how have you loved us? But he has loved us. Because look, he's punished us for good reason, right? As a good father would do.
Yeah.
And he has given us the promises, the laws, the statutes, and the commandments, and the covenant, and the kingdom to come, right? And it says, verse 2, but as for me, my feet were almost gone, my steps had well nigh slipped, for I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. And that's how our people are, right? That's why they want to follow after them, because they think if we do what they do, you know what I mean, we can, and they do that. And we always go back to the celebrities and whatnot, and they followed after them. They've done certain things to achieve what they've achieved, because the Edomites do that, but Edomites do them things willingly and pleasurably, whereas it's a stain on our people's soul when they do things to rise to the level of these prominent devils. Right? It says, verse 4 says, and that's another thing, look, verse 4, for there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. So, you know, I did a video today. It wasn't about what the content of the actual video was, it was something that was in that video, right? Basically, just to make the point, I was watching a video of Jake getting pulled over in America, a traffic stop, and he was being belligerent with the police officer, right, as they do, thinking that the laws and the Constitution really stands for them, when it doesn't. You know, they think that they can use them, but the scripture says what, man? It says they are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. So you can't move like an Edomite, and you can't start talking about, I know the law, this, that, and that, because they don't give a shit whether you know the law, man. And the Lord put the spirit out there like that for you. The law doesn't, their laws don't apply to you Jakes out there, man. Right? Because they apply for the Edomites, man. That is why scriptures talk about our people being in prison houses, man. Because we're the ones filling them places up for petty crimes, right?
Isaiah 42.
Verse 6, I'll nearly finish. It says, verse 6 says, therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain, violence covereth them as a garment. That's why they can stand there and say, you know, they see a Jake doing something that everyone else does, and they're going to call the police on you, because they know the power that they have over you. You know, with that pride, they know that all they have to do is say, yeah, it's a black man here, and he's doing this, that, and the other. I'm doing the same thing, but he's black. Yeah, you heard me, he's black. You know what I mean? That's all they have to hear. So once they hear that word, you know, it's over for you, man. You know, that's why it says, like, you know, they are not in trouble as other men, like, and those other men are us. We can't do the things that they can do, man. And you know, going back to what you were saying, this is describing them, their nature, right?
Yeah.
Verse 7 says, let me read 6 again. It says, therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain, and violence covereth them as a garment. That's what they're about. But they want to paint us to be, you know, that those people, the violent people, that we, you know, we're the ones doing all the colonization, the raping, and the murdering, and the, you know, the messing with the you know, the babies and stuff. You have to be careful how you say things. Verse 7 says, their eyes stand out with fatness, they have more than heart could wish. You know, we was getting into that in Obadiah, man. They don't need anything more, but they're just greedy, man. It says they are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. So they, you know, like you read, man, you know, they're all about oppression, man. They're all about treading down on the poor. Right? You know, they don't even look after their own people. You know, they walk past their people begging on the streets, and they act like they don't even exist, man. So stop acting like you're the saviors, man, when you're not. Verse 9 says, they set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walketh through the earth. Because they don't have any respect for the Most High. That's why they move the way they move. They think they're above him. They think they can, you know, they want to challenge the Most High, man.
Above the law.
They want to challenge Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. They think they're of that level, but that is the well, we can get that in
Precept.
in Job, man. You know, the dwelleth in the cliffs of the rock. Someone grab that, man. Let me finish this. It says, and the tongue walketh through the earth, therefore his people return hither, and waters of a full cup are run out to them. And they say, how doth the Most High know? And is there any knowledge in the Most High? Behold, these are the ungodly who prosper in the world. They increase in riches. So who's that talking about, man?
Esau, Edom.
I mean, this book ain't made for you, Esau. You know what I mean? This ain't made for you. This is against everything you stand for. This book is calling you out.
Yeah.
Right. So for that webpage that says it's a complicated topic to find out who Esau, Edom is. It's not, man. It's very easy in the scriptures, man. Did someone?
Yeah, precept. This is Habakkuk chapter 2, starting at verse 4. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire is hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. So that's, as you said, this book wasn't made for Esau. In fact, it was made to condemn him.
Yes, he took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, this book is made to condemn him. So, when you really get into it, you really learn the nature of this man, because coming from the world, which most of us did, you'd be looking at these Edomites, and what did David say? I was envious when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. In the world, you'd be thinking, how come these Edomites are catching hell, like Jake's catching hell? They seem to be doing all right.
Yeah.
And then you come to realize when you read the scriptures, that's because the Most High set it up to be that way. They're prospering in the world right now, but ultimately Jake's going to come up in the end, and they're going to have to pay for all the wicked that they've done. Esau's acting like there's not going to be no consequences, that, slavery's in the past and let bygones be bygones. No, the Most High requireth that which is past.
Hey, exactly, because you said something there, man. It just reminded me. I mean, because they say that bygones, let bygones be bygones, but bygones wasn't bygones because up until 2015, and this is showing the wickedness of Esau, right? Up until 2015 in the UK, they were still getting paid compensation for the abolition of slavery in this country, right? Meaning that, descendants, not only the standard citizens of the UK, but also the slave descendants, which are citizens of the UK, were also paying for said compensation from, if you worked and you was paying your taxes and whatnot, that was going towards that, man. So that's wicked in itself. So if bygones be bygones, why were we still paying that money, man?
Class. Yeah.
I mean, if you ask me, that's taking the piss. You know what I'm saying? That's how we say things over here in the UK. For those that don't know, they're watching abroad. Man. Basically, they're taking liberties. They're taking liberties because not only are they still getting their compensation, but the people that they should have been compensating are compensating them.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. That's what
So they can't. There's like the scripture says, they can't get enough, man. And that's oppression, more oppression of the poor. And and also it says that tells you that in Deuteronomy, man. These people will come from far and have no regard for the young and old. Paraphrasing it.
The curses.
Have you got more on that? Because I've got a precept as well, but there's a couple of verses in there.
Where are you at?
I mean, I'm on grape gatherers. Their greed, and then
You can jump in. We can still go back to that, man. That end part is that's the sweet,
the cherry on top.
Part.
Yeah,
The
the
cherry
icing on the cake.
icing on the cake. Yeah.
So I'm going to read a couple of these things, right?
Yeah.
Job 21 and 13 says, they spend their, it's going to explain it. They spend their days in prosperity, then go down to the grave in peace. He's talking about the wicked. Because when I was thinking about, when I read this, I was thinking about Queen Elizabeth, the second, isn't it? Queen Elizabeth II. And you got Philip, who recently they all was deleted, but they lived their whole lives you know, until death, wealthy,
Yeah.
ruling. The monarchy was still in a position,
Prosperous.
not respected to a certain extent, but they were still prosperous.
Yeah.
He went down, so it's total contrary to our lives at the moment, though. But we know the full outcome won't be. But let me carry on reading.
Yeah.
And yet they say to Yahweh, "Go away. We want." Oh, I'm reading it in the NLT, by the way. Yeah. We want no part of you and your ways. Who is the Almighty, and why should we obey Him? What good will it do us to pray? Right, see? They think that prosperity is of their own doing, right? The Most High set up kings.
Yeah.
He bring them down. Daniel chapters 2.
Yeah.
Also in 7, and also when the kingdom, when the wicked bear rule,
Yeah,
the people sigh.
Yeah.
But and the Most High giving the world into the hands of the wicked, the earth into the hands of the wicked. Job chapters 29
Job 9
and 24. Yeah. So that's who is the Almighty, and why should we obey Him? That's their attitude. What good will it do to us to pray? They think their prosperity is of their own doing, but I will have nothing to do with that kind of thinking. This is Job's words, his utterances. Yeah, last one now in 17. Yet the light of the wicked never seems to be extinguished. They extinguish. Do they ever have trouble? Question mark. Does God distribute sorrow to them in anger? Question mark.
That's the question, man.
I've got a precept to jump off that. I
Go on, bro.
you know, because yeah, as it says, you know, do they ever have trouble? Does the Most High distribute sorrows to them in anger?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem like it. Psalms 50 and 21 says, "These things hast thou done, and I kept silent. Thou thoughtest." In fact, hold on, let me start at 20. It says, "Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thine own mother's son. These things hast thou done, and I kept silent. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes." So it's like, you know, Ecclesiastes 8 and 11 says, because sentence against an evil work is then executed speedily,
Yeah.
therefore the hearts of the sons of men is fully setting them to do evil. So it's like, you know, Esau is, for the past, let's say, 500 or so years, has just run around just doing whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah.
Enslaving people, colonizing people, you know, because they gotta make it sound all nice and fancy, alright? And just murdering, killing, graping all over the place.
Yeah.
Alright, setting up his military bases, trying to bring forth his NWO, enslaving the nations, predominantly the Israelites.
Yeah.
And you know, he had no judgment for it. So his thing is, if there is a God in heaven, He must be with us.
No, boy.
You know, because I've done all of this. I've touched so-called God's chosen people, and we're still breathing, we're still alive, we're still ruling over them.
Yeah.
You know, they still come to us for the want of all things. Alright? But it says, "But I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes," man. You know, we drank of the cup, and Esau is not special, man.
Yeah.
You know, look what he did to his chosen people. We still fucked up now. You know?
He talks about he's going to drink the dregs, man. But drinking right down to the bottom of that cup.
Yeah,
All the
man.
shit that's at the bottom of it, man. You're taking everything, man. Because you know, you've been living it. You've been living. The scriptures say, "What living deliciously, man." You
Look
know?
at it right here.
Delicious.
Let me read it right here. Revelations 18 and 7. How much she have glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit as a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. As pride. Yeah.
Now that dress in the class of the rock, man.
Can I say something, Brother Sean?
Yeah.
On the point that the brother Aminawala just read about he will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes. that's exactly what's happening right now. We're improving Esau by reading the scriptures, but we've also been set in order, meaning that the Most High is going to return the breath of life, the spirit of understanding unto us, so that we can actually understand these scriptures. That's us being set in order.
Yeah.
So Esau's seeing this now, and he's being called out. You know, for a lot of years he got away with murder, you know, supposedly scot-free, but now we're out here calling him out on his bullshit.
Yeah. And they don't like it, man. You know? And the thing is, it's not just us doing it. You know, you go through social media, there's people that aren't even in this truth calling them out, man. Some of the people even look like their own people, which I don't think they are, because, you know, wicked recognise wicked, man. The same the world will recognise real wicked recognise wicked, man. Edomites stay on code.
Yeah.
That's why going back to that thing about that woman in the park, you know, they create this GoFundMe because you know, they hate us, man. They want to, they know that it pains not us, but it pains Jake. It would pain and really annoy and anger Jake to see that they've done this for this bitch. You know what I'm saying? What? She did this and you devils have raised $500,000? That's crazy.
It's an outrage, yeah.
That's crazy, man. But it shows you it shows you they're devils, man.
And that shows she's going to live deliciously off that too.
But the thing is, with certain things, you know, with certain things with these funding
fundraisers,
Kickstarters and that, they have certain rules. So if they deem that what she's done and why they're raising the money for her is wrong, they will stop it.
Oh.
But you know,
they can hack the system.
There's ways around things like that. They can just say, okay, look, someone could just do it off their own back and just say, here, send me the money. And even might do, like I said, they stay in code, man. You know. Yeah, this is what anyone got anything right now?
Yeah, I got one.
No, you go.
Yeah, this is Psalm 64 and verse 8. It says, so they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves, all that see them shall flee away. Because of course, you know, when Officer mentioned about you got certain people who may look like Edomites, they're actually calling them out, man. Of course, certain of them we know are actually speckled birds. You know, the conspiracy lot as well, especially during 2021, 2022, when you had the Jews going around. You know, you had doctors exposing it. You know, and certain of them, you know, they went back to the spirit realm, man, just for exposing Esau's agenda. You know, within those things that they tried to put in certain people. You even had certain nurses in the UK as well replacing it with like salt solution, man. You know, so of course, you know, their own tongues shall fall upon themselves, which means they're going to be exposed by their own people at the end of the day. So you can even see it as Esau can't even trust Esau, man. So, yeah, you know.
Hey, well, the scriptures say, and if Satan be divided against Satan,
that's
how's
literally what I was
then his
meditating.
kingdom stand?
Can't, because it's divided. It's divided.
And just to add, they're never satisfied. They're just never satisfied. So like you say, Esau will go against Esau. Just the mere fact you find them out, right? Because they're so greedy and they want money, they'll expose themselves and they'll put things on the internet. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, if you see where I'm coming from. But to expose, but because it's all agreed. So they know they're putting their own people down because they're never satisfied. They still want money upon money. You see?
Yeah, but the thing is, you got to realize, you said about their own people. There's thing I was watching this funny video on TikTok. This Eastern European woman. She's an Edomite, right? But she's an Eastern European Edomite, and she's in someone's house at night. She cleans their house in the day, but she's gone there at night to try and steal, right? So they've basically set her up because they know that she's been stealing the money. So when she's walking around with a torch, the woman comes out and says, "What are you doing here?" And she's trying to fake the funk, saying, "Oh, the keys was here and I come to clean, but the keys was in the door. I wanted to put the keys back." You know, she's lying. She's got caught in it. But in the comments, people that Edomites are saying, "Oh yeah, send her, deport her, send her back." But you got Jake's in the comments saying, "No, but she's one of you. She's of your race." You know what I mean? She's of your race. It's just from another part of the world, but she's of your race. So they try and separate themselves, you see? So they want to separate themselves. Listen, Esau Edom is Esau Edom. The Russia is Esau Edom, man. All right? So all you Americans that want to go against Russia, talking about Russia, this and that, they're you. You're the same people, man. All right. There's no separation like that. It's just you, just in different places, man. So stop trying to act like the Western, and the point is the Western side of Esau Edom thinks it's better than the rest of Esau Edom.
Yeah.
You know, so you're all the same, and you're gonna get the same destruction. Man.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line on that.
Go on.
I was saying, let me read this if I may. This is Job 18. And I'll start at 5. It says, "Yea, the light of the wicked shall be put out, and the spark of his fire shall not shine. The light shall be dark in his tabernacle, and his candle shall be put out with him. The steps of his strength shall be straightened, and his own counsel shall cast him down." You see, so that going back to the whole, so like, what was it? Cause it was time to fall upon himself.
Yeah.
That's what's happening now, man. Right? Reading on, it says, "For he is cast into a net by his own feet, and he walketh upon a snare." Because all the things he's doing really are for his own demise, man. There's no walking off into the sunset after this, man.
No.
You know what I mean? He's not getting away with nothing. You know, you're going down, and you're gonna go down bad, man. It's going to be amazing. Like the scriptures talk about that. Where is it? I'm trying to think. But anyway, let me read this on. Let me read on. Verse 11 says, "Terrors shall make him afraid on every side, and shall drive him to his feet. His strength shall be hunger bitten, and destruction shall be ready at his side. It shall devour the strength of his skin. Even the firstborn of death shall devour his strength. His confidence shall be rooted out of his tabernacle, and it shall bring him to the king of terrors." So, your future as an Edomite, man, it's not good. It's not looking good.
What's the prognosis? Prognosis is negative.
Yeah, I mean, basically,
Kind of scared that.
you're finished. Let me just get a few more. Apostle. Verse 16 says, "His roots shall be dried up beneath, and above shall his branch be cut off." So we're going to get all the precepts as well, but it's going to come to a point where he's not going to even be around anymore, man. His remembrance shall perish from the earth, and he shall have no name in the streets. He shall be driven from the light into darkness, and chased out of the world.
That ties in with what Job says. They
Right.
cried after him as after a thief.
He shall neither have son nor nephew among his people, nor any remaining in his dwellings. They that come after him shall be astonished at his day, as they that went before were frightened. Yeah, because the nations are going to see his destruction, and they're going to be thinking, "Fucking hell, like, we were shook from this guy, man." I mean, he was running the show.
What's going on?
And now look at him. He's basically finished. He's going down, man. It says, "Surely are the dwellings of the wicked, and this is the place of him that knoweth not the Most High." He doesn't know the Most High, man. He knows Satan. Right? He is the earthly embodiment of Shaitan, man. Right? You know what I mean? He's doing. He's under that influence, man.
That vibration.
Who's someone wanted to?
Come on. This is Jeremiah 51 and verse 6. "Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense." Yeah, Esau's judgment, man. Long story short, Esau's gonna have to pay. You've had your time, you've had your fun. The Most High has given you, as it says in Revelation 20, he was loosed a little season. We're now coming to the end of your season. As Kalah brought out earlier, 2 Ezra 6 and 9, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth." you know, AI overview claims that it's hard to pinpoint who the Edomites are, but we say otherwise. We say, you know, the Edomites feature heavily in terms of end time prophecy, which we're in right now, right? Jeremiah 51:7.
Hey, selected. Did you mention that it's in the that dictionary?
Yeah, what's the, is
It's
it
on-
the
it's on
job?
the
It's on the dictionary.
It's on the
man.
dictionary.
So their own scholars tell you that Esau. Because remember what we brought up before. It said that Esau. The facts around Esau is complicated, but the Zondervan tells you that they're featured in the end time prophecies, man.
And it also says they are the only nation that is promised no mercy
right.
from the Most High.
And that's why Esau don't want to be Esau. You know,
listen
because
to-
even the Most High is even gonna have mercy on the other nations, man. You know, and when you read Isaiah 2, they're not gonna be like Proverbs 29:2, where it says, "When the wicked are in authority, the people mourn." They're gonna be willing to go to the house of Israel.
It says we're going to be a blessing to the nations.
Right. They're going to be coming with their gifts, you know. They're going to be referencing our power willingly. Okay, they ain't going to be like, you know, if you get around these heathens and, you know, you show them that you don't fuck with these devils, man. They'll open up, man. They tell you how they really feel.
Yeah.
You know?
Go on.
They're under that vibration of hate because it's prophecy, but they want to, you know, they liken themselves unto the Edomites, man, because they want, it's like they look at us as being as the lowest. As long as we're the lowest, they don't have to be the lowest. You
Right.
know? So we're basically buffering. We're taking all the bullshit for the rest of these brown people out here.
Yeah.
Because Esau don't like them either.
Yeah, he doesn't.
You like the takeaway, though, on a Friday
Of course.
night. The Indian takeaway.
Is that it on that?
Yeah, I've got a bit more from here, but Jeremiah 51:7. Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. You know, they realize that this, you know, the democratic system, monogamous marriage, normalizing Moism is not the way, right? Verse 8, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her? Take balm for her pain. If so, she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heavens, and is lifted up even to the skies. So, you know, best advice is if you're not of the elect and you're living in America, man, you know, get out of there, man. You got these heathens, they're going back to their own countries. They're realizing that they can't make a profit in America anymore. You know, it's the end of the road for America. It never was the American dream. It always has been the American nightmare. You know, that's it on that.
American Nightmare.
Yeah.
Precept.
You can bring that up.
This is Revelation 17, starting at verse 8. The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wander, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. So, breaking that down, that beast is basically America. Right? And those who wander after the beast whose names were not written in the book of life, that's talking about, you know, the Jake who are lost in the sources, you'd say, following after the ways of Esau. The reason why I bring that precept out is because the whole point of Esau is that he's going to go into perdition. You see, we see things on, we're working on the current timeline, but really he's already been destroyed. We're just seeing it play out in the flesh, but it's already written. But what do the scriptures say? My word shall not go out void. So Esau was only brought into power to show us what wickedness is, and then to be taken out of the way. So it's quite funny because, you know, in today's world, a lot of Jake, they envy Esau. They want to be like Esau. You know, they want to speak like him. They want to get the good jobs and wear the business suit and all that kind of shit. When really, he's not the man to be emulated. He's really just there to take a mighty fall, man. and when he falls, he's not going to rise up again. See, this is the thing. You talked about take balm for Babylon and healer. There's no healing for Babylon, but there is healing for the nation of Israel. But the other nations don't see that. They just see us in our broken down state, and they think that's just how it's going to be forever. And like you said, they enjoy seeing someone worse off than them. You know, they get off and seeing Jake. What's that channel, World Star Hip Hop, which is all about Jake doing folly and shit. A lot of the nations watch that and they actually enjoy it. They enjoy seeing Jake doing foolishness and suffering for it. But at the end of the day, they're gonna get into that position, and we're gonna be
The ones
above them. They ain't gonna be laughing at us when we're in our glorified state as gods.
They wouldn't dare anyway. Not only couldn't they, but they wouldn't dare.
They can't.
They're gonna see us as, like, the level they're gonna see us on is so beyond our
Comprehension.
beyond our realm of understanding, because really we've just been in such a lower state for such a long time. You know, even when things go good for us in this world, we kind of like, this is a bit weird, man. Like, you know, I'm used to catching hell. But when we receive those new bodies and Yahweh Shai comes back, and we're actually as gods on the earth, you can't even imagine how, you know, how the other nations are going to look at us and reverence us then. Because for them, it's going to be like, you know, seeing Yahweh Shai and the angels and stuff. We're going to be on such a high level.
Come on, man.
But Esau, on the other hand, he's going into slavery in the pits, and it's going to be as if he never was. Because what does Scripture say? He shall perish forever like his own dung, man. Like, does anybody think about the shit they took three Wednesdays ago? That's completely, you know, out of memory, man.
But even collab, when you liken that onto the nations, you know, because people go on like the ancient Egyptians were these great people and they're not here today. They're here today. They're the Hamites, man.
Yeah.
But bro, you guys see the Hamites, bro.
Yeah.
Do they look like anything spectacular?
Done.
You know?
Done.
Do they even have that salt that Jake has?
No.
But these were once the great Egyptians that had us in captivity. But look at what the Lord has reduced them to, man.
He's done that with them all. Look at, for example, the Medo-Persians. The Persians, if I'm not mistaken, that's Elam, right?
Yeah.
Once upon a time, they were running shit. Where are they now?
You run bag?
They were here, they're running shop.
Yeah.
All the local corners. You know what I mean? And they're making a decent living, but that's all they're doing. They're not up there like you know, the Edomites are. You know, don't get me wrong. I mean, you got like there's one particular family, the Mittals, I think, and they run steel, and they're like, you know, multi-billionaires.
They're gone.
You know what I mean? But you know, that's few and far between. The Edomites. But so you have these other nations that do make it, but at the end of the day, Esau's the master of, you know, this earth, man. Let me
Still going.
Let me just say one more thing. This is as good as it gets for Esau. So, like, live it up while you can, because this is as good as it gets for them.
Max out that credit card.
It's only down.
Go rent a limo.
It's only all downhill from this point out. And if with each passing day, they're falling more and more, man.
But that's why I said what I said earlier about if they knew what they were really about in the spirit, they would be doing, and they'd be doing more than just renting limos and stuff. They'd be doing all the wicked stuff that they would think about doing on a daily basis. All the things that they really want to do, they'll do them, man.
To the very last
one. You know, certain places I've worked, I'm not going to talk about the places, but some of the talk that these Edomite men have, they're just crazy, man. And some of the things that you hear them doing and stuff, it's just like, it's not even that, like, you know, I'm talking about things that, you know, everybody at some point has been getting, you know, when we say getting on and going out and partying and whatnot, but, you know, them talking about, there's one thing one of them told me one time, I don't even want to say it. I didn't know what to say when he told me this, and I thought, why are you telling him this? But they're just not right.
Some weird shit.
Yeah, as we read, you know, the soul is not upright in there. This is we're gonna finish off. We'll try and finish off in Obadiah.
Yeah.
And this is Job 20 and 4. It says, "Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment?"
You see?
Right? So, yeah, man, although it feels like it's been forever, it's been a very short time that they've been running things, man. A very short time.
Yep.
And look what it's saying, the Maccabees, right? Evil
Evils were multiplied on the
multiplied
earth.
on the earth, man, in that very short time, man. So they increased the wickedness in that very short time. Verse 6 says, though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? He shall fly away as a dream, and shall not be found. Yea, he shall be chased away as a vision of the night. The eye also which saw him shall see him no more, neither shall his face any more behold him. Right? Because yeah, man, he's just gonna. That's the ultimate, man. No more Esau Edom.
Everyone's going
There's no more. Once the kingdom comes into place, and you've served out your bondage, your slavery. There's no more use for you. You've played out your use already, which is to be the wicked, to be our adversary, the devil, right? Or sorry, Satan is the adversary, but you're the devil, the deceiver. That has been your role, man. Once Yahushua comes back and you serve your slavery, there's no more use for you, man. You know what I mean? It's like you blowing your nose in the tissue and you just discard it. That's what the Lord has basically done with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's for that purpose, man.
I'm gonna read.
Precept.
No, we read that. We'll go back to Obadiah. We'll give it another maybe 20 minutes.
Go on. Yeah, hard.
Revelations 12 and 12. Therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that ye have a short time. He knows his time is short, right? So he's going to try to pull up everything he can out of the hat, right? There's no more. There's nothing left out of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? They've already received it, and you see, the Lord is a good power. It's a good power because what? Right? They've received their blessing, right? The fatness of the earth. They've received their consolation. And it's going to be time now. It's going to be just taken away for good. All right? And we're going to be now receive that new blessing. The earth is going to. I mean, I'm getting talked to now. Everything's going to be given back to us now.
The right side up.
Right side up, right?
Yeah,
which was belonged to us in the first place, you see. So they know they have a short time, right? Because he said he knows. He said, what? I can say it again. Revelation 12, rejoice ye heavens and that dwell in them. Woe into the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. All right? So those are closing now. Yeah, Esau?
So that's why the Jakes need to figure out about reparations, man.
Yeah.
The Lord is going to repair. Reparations means to repair. The Lord is going to do that.
Yeah.
100-fold, man. Just be patient. Like, whatever you think these devils can give you is never going to be enough, because no matter what they give you, they're still going to be. Let's just say they decided tomorrow to pay out the reparations that they owe, because they can do that because they just print money anyway, right?
Yeah.
But let's just say they was going to do that, yeah. They will still be over us. Why would we want that? And then we spend our money, and our money will go straight back to the evil.
Nice, it goes right back to them.
Exactly.
Because let's not get it twisted, man. In the kingdom, we're gonna have commerce, man. There's gonna be like, monetary systems. They're gonna. What do you think Esau's gonna be working for us for, man?
No.
We're gonna be business, big businessmen making money. That's how it works. We're gonna have tangible riches, man. Not like how the Christians think, where the Lord is just gonna bless you with mansions and put all this gold in your pockets. No, man. The heathens are gonna work for us, like we work for them.
Yes.
Right? And that's exactly how we should want it, man. We should want to be able to kick back and watch them.
Royalty.
Yeah, and watch them work for. That's how it is in the kingdom, isn't it?
Yeah.
Revelation 2 and 25. But that which ye have already, hold fast till I come. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter.
Exactly. just wanted to read that
Oh.
bit again about ruling, man, because that's the whole point as well. Like, it's not just about having a kingdom, man. It's about being rulers, man.
Yeah.
You know, read that again. Bro.
Yep. The rule part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Revelation 2. Let me start 26 again. It says, "And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nation, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father."
Power, man. Like, it's not just about, you know, having all the riches and being able to just, you know, relax and not worry. It's about having power, man. We're owed that. You know, the Lord has promised us power, and power is it comes in many forms, man.
Yeah.
You know, spiritual power, strength, financial power.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna have everything we ever wanted, man, and more.
And the thing is, you're not going to worry that you're going to lose that power.
Yeah, and do you know what? One of the things that we want the most is respect, man.
Yeah.
Of course.
Because this world doesn't respect us, man. They want they kind of what's the word I'm looking for?
What, detest us?
No, because they do kind of secretly look up to us.
It's like more of an envy, like kind
Yeah.
of like a secret.
That's
kind of-
true. That's right.
They
You're
hate us,
right.
but they can't be us.
You know, I was going to
they
say
hate us 'cause
earlier,
they ain't us.
they want to be us, but they don't want to be us.
So
That
they,
kind of
so
way,
they look up
yeah?
to us in a sense where they wish they could be us, but
Yes.
but then that's really envy.
Yes.
They don't, because they don't want to be alongside us.
Yeah.
And have the way we are. They want us to be. They always want to be over us, man. So that was in more than that. That's it, yeah. Yeah. Let's read this Obadiah, and then we'll finish on that.
So this is Obadiah 1 and verse 6.
If you got any little questions to bring up,
Go on. How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his things sought up? All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. And of course, the Most High is really letting that precept shine on America, Babylon the Great, man, especially with this tariff situation, where it says all the men of that confederacy have brought thee even to the border, where it says the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee, especially with Trump initially saying, okay, we're going to make America wealthy again with these tariffs. That was the original intention, but of course that's backfired now because it's like what do they call it? They're in a tariff war right now with China, man, where most of the products right now in the warehouses, they're being withdrawn because there's not many businesses willing to pay those tariffs over there in America. So of course that's also bringing in to the famine that's going to happen over there, and also just the whole destruction of the economy.
So that's the other thing, just cut in and say as well.
Go on.
They overestimated their strength in the world. They think that they're the main guy. Like people will be happy to dismiss them and deal with other countries, man. That's exactly what China said, right? They don't need to deal with the US. They dealt with the US because the US has been dealing with them, cheap labor and all that stuff. But in regards to you know, because look, what's China really thinks that they're next in line.
Yeah. Next superpower.
So they think now we can break away from the US and start doing our thing. And let them think that, you know, it's not going to happen. But at the same time, it's beautiful because now America's looking dumb.
Yeah.
That's why they picked Trump, because he doesn't come across like he's an intelligent man. All right, so that's a sign in itself to show that Babylon is going down. Because we've now got a clown in charge.
Who did that before Joe Biden?
Yeah, a dithering old man. They had a Hamite before that.
Yeah,
You know, so you've had three. You know, according to the citizens, man, the crackers never liked Obama. You know, nobody liked Biden. Well, the sort of, you could say the leftists did this. Like he was pushing all that other stuff. Colourful stuff. And now you got Trump who's coming in. Now he's working. You know, those so-called racist Edomites, they love him, man. They those sellout Coon Jakes, man.
Yeah, but precept after this is all you first.
This is Revelation 17 and 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, they shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Which, you know, the 10 horns, that's talking about the NATO and the EU,
Yeah, the
which is
original.
actually about 30 countries now. And yeah, as the brothers are going into, yeah, they shall hate the whore, the beast that sitteth upon, I mean, the whore that sitteth upon that beast, being America, man. You know, they're the ones that have flooded these nations with their wine, their false philosophies, and these nations are waking up to the fact that this ain't it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, they're finding that they're getting better trade deals, dealing with like Russia and China, you know, and America's just, you know, basically they're cutthroat, man.
Yeah,
And they, you know, something is gonna happen, and you know, this is why Biden, I mean, sorry, not Biden, Trump is the man for the job, because he's a very likable person, right, to the average Joe.
yeah.
You know, he's got that charisma, but then he can also be a very detestable person. He can be a person that you can come to hate. So he's gonna, you know, America's gonna say or do something to where even their own allies are they're gonna push the button, man. You know,
Yeah,
this is why it says when you read on in verse 17, for the Most High have put in their hearts to fulfill His will and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of the Most High shall be fulfilled. So all these other nations, they're just playing ball. They're just playing game, you know, playing like they're with America until the words of the Most High be fulfilled.
Yeah.
Until it's that when they're brought to that set time, you know, to where they're gonna have to bring forth Babylon's destruction, man.
Yeah.
The 200 million, which the Revelator saw, the number of those missiles are gonna be, you know, used in World War III to eradicate that land over there, man.
Calm, man. So
Yeah, because you said something, you read something there, and it says the whore that sitteth upon the beast. Because remember now, as you're talking about, the whole world has to be involved for it to be a new world order, man. It's not like, you know, we talk about Babylon or whatnot, but all the acting that these other nations do, pretending like they're against each other, but really behind the scenes, they're trying to formulate this new world order, man. But yeah, I'm starting to put stop to all of that, man. So, yeah, we don't know.
So Obadiah 1 and verse 7, actually verse 8 now. Shall I not in that day, save the Lord Yahweh, even destroy the wise men out of Edom and understanding out of the mount of Esau? And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter, which is also the latter end of Esau Edom, man, after he served his portion of time for servitude to us in the kingdom of Yahushua. So verse 10, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that strangers carried away captive, his forces and foreigners entered into his gates and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou wast as one of them. But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger, neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction.
Okay, hold on. Because they said what? They said raise it, man. Right? They wanted us to be destroyed in that day, in the day of you know, the sacking of Jerusalem. Man. They wanted us to go down.
Bring down.
You know.
Can I just add a quick thing as well? When we left Egypt and we asked if we could pass through their land,
They refused.
they refused. And we were being reasonable. We said anything that we take, or the water that we drink, or whatever, will compensate them for it. And they still said no.
So that's pure hatred right there, man. Listen, there's a spiritual hatred. Perpetual. And that's why they do what they do to us, because And I'm not talking about the elites. I'm talking about the low level ones. They do what they do to us because it's in their spirit to do so. They don't even know that. They don't even know why they do the things they do. Right? But ultimately, it's in their spirit to be against us.
Oh, precept, if I may.
Bring that out.
This is Ecclesiastes 7 and verse 13. Consider the work of the Most High, for who can make that straight which you have made crooked? And that ties into what you said about they're programmed to have a hatred for and an enmity towards us, Jake. I mean, they hate all the nations, but really, it's Esau and Jacob that are the two main antagonists and protagonists of the story. And I'm saying that because you got a lot of Jake who are ignorant in the world in the Christian church, and they're like, oh yeah, you know, Edomites can join our congregation and they can receive salvation too and stuff. Jake needs to wake up to the fact that these people are our enemies. What does it say in Psalms 83? It tells you the various nations that are our enemies, and Edom is chief among them. So who can make straight which the Most High made crooked? There's no redeeming these Edomites, man. You know, they're beyond redemption. You just got to accept them for what they are and know that the Most High is going to deal with them.
Quick precept just to back that up. Jeremiah 13 and 23 says, can the Ethiopian change his skin or the leopard his spots? It says, then may ye also do good that are accustomed to do evil. That's what they are accustomed to do. That's just them.
Yeah.
Stop. You Jakes in the world that think you can have these conversations and try and talk Esau round, man. He would have done that by now, man. Just stop doing that shit, coming together. They don't want to come together. We shouldn't want to come together with them. Tired of that shit, man. Like trying to decide how you're going to talk around Esau from being racist. If anything, if it was possible, which it isn't, but if it were possible, it's down to them to decide how they're going to change themselves. It ain't nothing to do with me.
You know, to add to what you're saying, really in this setup, we can't be racist. Yeah, we can be racist by opinion, but Esau can actually make shit happen. You know?
There's a difference, man. It's prejudice, right? We can be prejudiced, right? But if you're talking about the whole setup that's against us, you know, I mean, we use the word racism and that, but really, that's not even because when we say we're racist, well, yeah, we are for our people, right? But there's the whole setup it goes beyond racism because what it is that it's against Israel. Everything is against Israel. These other nations, they can be prejudiced against each other, but they're not doing anything.
So could you repeat what you said?
I'm saying these nations, they can be prejudiced against each other, but they're not doing anything systemic to keep each other from moving on. They still do business with each other. They're still out there making money, right? But when it comes to us, we're the ones that are pushed out. We're the ones that are out in the cold. So it's not really, racism isn't really a thing as such. It's just, if I could make a word up for it, I would. But it's the whole system is just set up against Israel.
Yeah, it's called systemic racism.
Systemic racism to Israel is what I'm trying to say. Because it only really affects Israelites, does it? It doesn't affect anybody else, does it?
Nope.
But these, now these crackers, they want to start paying the victim now.
Yeah.
You know, they talk about the race card, but they pay the victim card all the time. You know what I mean? Now everything's against them. If you're a white male or you're hated, and stop talking at your ass, man.
Because Israel's never.
There's nothing that you're talking about is actually affecting you in your life. It's not affecting you, man. You might hurt your feelings, but it's not actually affecting what you're doing in your day-to-day business in your life, man. It's not. What is said against us affects us, man. When they put out this bad music and it affects the young boys and the girls. The boys acting like gangsters, the girls acting like sluts. When they put out things on the media making us look like murderers and whatnot. violent people. That affects us as a nation of people.
Mm.
Everywhere you go now, people hate. It doesn't matter where you go in the world, you're hated, man.
Mm.
Jakes go places like Spain and Italy and wonder why they're getting hate. So stop going to places where you're not wanted, which is most of the earth. If I was to go anywhere and I had the choice and I had the funds,
Yeah.
I'd go to only places where we are.
Right.
Yeah, when you got
Accepted.
And that's not to say that you can't get in danger in them
Yeah,
places,
yeah,
but at least
yeah.
you're not going to have to put up with
True.
racism.
Bananas being thrown at you.
If I may add to your point, when we consider where we're going to go on holiday, it's a whole different thought process than what the Edomites have. The Edomites, they run around in all kinds of places
It's
where
not
they
just
don't
the
belong.
Edomites.
They call it- they
though.
call it-
So
they
like
call it
the-
backpacking.
You made a perfect point to what I'm saying. It's like there's no nation on earth other than us that has to sit down and think
Yeah.
and research.
Yeah.
If I go here, how they're going to treat me.
Yeah.
If I go there, they're going to treat me well, or they're going to be reasonable.
Mm.
We
Like
have to
black
think. We have to
people.
consider that.
Mm.
People don't, and like as we're talking about Esau, Edom, yes, they don't have to think about anything like that.
No.
Even if they go to places where they are, because they are hated, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are hated. People pretend to like them, but even doesn't matter where they want to go in the world, man. They don't have to think about it.
Nope.
Is a proud man neither keepeth at home.
Right,
You see?
right,
You
right.
see? Powerful.
Anyway, was in. Yeah, read
continue.
it. Let's get this one.
This is from verse 12 of that 1 and 12. But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother, in the day that he became a stranger, neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction, neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity, yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape. Neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. For the day of the Lord Yahweh is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Go on.
So that's it. Because, all that stuff you just read, they've still been doing that stuff. Right?
Yeah.
Doing everything in their power to keep us at the bottom of the totem pole.
Obey.
Keep us rock bottom.
Mhm.
So they did it then and they're still doing it now. Like you said, perpetual hatred, man. So, they're constantly trying to keep us in a position of poverty and, just disarray, general disarray, man. Confusion. Because they know that they know that we are better than them.
Go on.
That's what they, a lot of people say, they fear us because they fear that if we take over, we do to them what they did to us. I saw this powerful speech from this black woman, this Jake woman,
Go on.
talking about how they put us in this position. The Lord has done it, but she's explaining it from her perspective, right? How, it's like playing a game of Monopoly and, you play the game, the Edomites play the game for 400 years, and then you get to play the game, but after 400 years, they've already bought all the properties and everything, they got all the funds, they got all the money in that, and then they expect you to be able to compete with them, even though they've got everything that's on the board.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, she said, you are lucky that we want equality and not revenge. But really and truly, we should want revenge, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's scriptural, man.
Yeah. Blood for blood.
And the scriptures say that the land cannot be cleansed, but through the blood but by those that
Yeah.
Shed it.
shed it.
That's it.
Paraphrasing. So they have to go out bad, man. They have to. Their blood has to be shed for it to make it right.
If I may say something to add to your point, right? What we've got to do is, if you get into the mind of an Edomite, right? They're a very vengeful people, and they love shedding blood, right? So in their minds, they're thinking, well, if we done that to them, right? Why don't they want to do that to
Yeah.
us? But the thing about Jake is that we're kind of like we're more like sheep, you know, like we're easily led and not often the aggressors.
Yeah.
So the Edomites assume if we got into power, that's what we would be like.
Do you know what I think it is as well for us? I think because of being downtrodden for so long, they'll be happy to just have equality, just happy to have
Wow, that's
the
heavy.
things that everybody
Yeah.
else has. They don't
Yeah.
think of this. They don't understand that we're kings, man.
That's it.
Right? We're kings. We're future kings and princesses, man, and princes, right? So they don't understand that. If they understood that, then they would want more than just the same as everybody else. And like you said, the revenge thing. You know, we've been taught that through well, you said it, the the slave Bible, right?
Oh yeah.
Right? We've been taught to turn the other cheek, to not take revenge, man.
Forgive
But
and
like you
forget.
said, they take revenge, and rightfully so, man. They are right to want to take revenge. They don't forget anything, man. If you do something to them,
Oh, they remember that.
they remember that forever, man.
That's why they celebrate all their wars and
Yeah.
shit. Every year it's always what is it? Was it Remembrance Sunday and all this kind of shit?
Yeah,
Oh, what do they say? Never forget all this kind of shit. But yet, when it comes to us, we're
Yeah,
supposed
we're
to
supposed
forgive
to
and forget.
forgive and forget. Move on.
Yeah,
That's the
man,
past.
brush it off.
Yeah,
Precept.
yeah, bring that up.
2 Thessalonians 1:6. Seeing it is a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you, and to you who are troubled, rest with us, when the Lord Yahushua shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels,
Heavy.
in flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not the Most High, and that obey not the gospel of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, who shall be punished with everlasting destruction from the presence of the Lord and from the glory of his power, when he shall come to be glorified in his saints and to be admired in all them that believe, because our testimony among you was believed in that day. You know, so there's going to be a reward for us, you know, patiently suffering the wrath of the Heavenly Father.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to see Yahushua and the angels destroy this place. You know, that's Revelation 1:7.
And if I could just add to that, those that believe, man, because it's not just the men talking, the prophets speaking, man. There's a multitude out there that's destined for salvation, that believe as well, man, that want revenge, man, that understand who the wicked is, that don't want reparations, you know, that are yearning for Yahweh to come back and get them out of the mess that we're in, man. You know, so there are, and that's a beautiful thing, man. It's not just that 144,000. There are another elect. Like the main elect is the 144, but you have the other elect that are also destined because they believe, man. Is that your
Alright, so verse 15 of that 1 and 15, for the day of the Lord Yahweh is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee.
And you notice he says all the heathen, man. This is about Esau, Edom, but let's not forget, man. These other nations have been happily sitting by or being involved in our destruction, man.
Enjoying.
None of them have come to our aid and said, you know, fucking hell, you know, I mean, what they've been doing to you people, you know, let's get side by side. No, man, they've never done that. So they have it coming to them as well, man. They've played a part in our destruction, you know.
Going, as thou hast done it, as thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness.
So it said that upon Mount Zion, the monument, man, only Israel is set for salvation, man. Like, get it out. You heathens need to get it out of your thick skulls, man. That it's ain't for you. The Lord is only dealing with Israel, man.
Yeah,
You know, you fake ass Christians that keep teaching that everybody can be saved, man. It's specific in the scriptures, man, and it never changes.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even know how many times you can find scriptures saying that the Lord is only dealing with Israel, man. Don't even know.
And it's being made plain upon tables.
Right.
So verse 17, but upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them, and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord Yahweh hath spoken it.
That's it, man. You know, that's future prophecy, man. You know, none remaining. That's not something that's already happened.
Yeah.
Right? So we can't sit, you know, there's no point sitting around trying to say that the Edomites don't exist. Right? As you read earlier, there's no end of the people, man. So impending doom is coming for the Edomites, man. Meaning that they're going to be this, you know, there's going to be destruction on this earth. Their whole system is going to come down. You know, slavery. You know, and it's going to be, you know, the Lord says, well, our hearts shall meditate terror.
Yeah.
Meaning we're going to be doing some things according to the law, because we're not like them. They did things that they shouldn't have done, man.
Horrendous.
And then after all is said and done, after they've served their punishment, man, that's it. You're going to be gone, man. You're going to be gone. That's it, man. Is there any more quick precepts?
Yeah, I got one more.
Yeah, I've got one quick one as well.
This is Isaiah 14, and from verse 14, you know, Esau's mindset. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, and I'll be like the Most High. Hence that MOTB system that he's pretty much already has it, but he needs that right event to, you know, warm up the people to it. And it says in verse 15, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. So of course, really, Esau's going to be, you know, as we mentioned in Obadiah 1, then verse 17, that he'll be as for stubble, man. Then actually verse 18. So he will be in that lowly state where people are the same way, you know, you have certain heathens of whom, you know, when they walk past you, they spit on the ground. People are going to be doing that to Esau in the kingdom as well. So it says in verse 15, it says, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee, and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the
Heavy
earth?
scripture.
That's a side eye, man.
Heavy scripture.
That's like looking at him like,
Yeah.
Narrow,
you know what I mean?
narrow eyes. Yeah, like, you're gonna be squinting at Esau, man, saying like, what in the world? Did this guy actually rule the earth?
This was the guy that had everyone in the grip.
Yeah. People feared him at that time. So
You need
it.
to remember as well, Salaka, just if I may,
Go on.
Esau is going to be back in that lower state, you know.
Scratching around.
Among the bushes they braid, you know, the wood wolves, you know, they was all hairy all over, you know, they weren't wearing anything that was nasty, they weren't bathing. So these nations are going to be looking at Esau like,
He's
what?
bugged out.
What, you mean to tell me this was the guy that was calling the shots, man?
But you know what the beauty of that is? They're going to understand who gave him that power
Right.
to be in that position. Because they're going to see, after they're going to see it, they're going to see Yahweh shall come back and remove that from them and realize that there was nothing after all.
Yeah,
You know, that it was, the earth was given into their hands. You know?
That's right. Because in Daniel it says, and he set to fuck whomsoever over it and giveth it to the basest of men.
Yeah.
That's Esau. Because he got the clean shave now, scrubs up in a nice suit,
Suit and tie.
got the tie and whatnot. Maybe got the Richard Mille or the Rolex or whatever on the wrist. You think he's the guy, man? He ain't the guy. And the Lord is getting ready to show us that he ain't the guy, man. You know, we are the guys. Beginning with our Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahshua, of course. We're those men.
Yeah.
You know, Isaiah 13 and 12. I make a man more precious than fine gold, man.
Yeah.
Alright, that's not just talking about any old men.
No.
It's talking about the elect. Alright?
So it says here in verse 16 again, they that see thee.
That's a good one to end on.
Go on, so Isaiah 14 and 16, that they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners. Go on, it says here, hold on. Yeah, that's really the key part, man. You
Yeah.
know, the latter end of Esau Edom.
That's it on that, man. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, so conclusion is what? Esau, you know, your time is at hand, man. Right, your time is at hand. And obviously, you know, Revelation 12, we know you're going to start getting busy before you're, you know, taken out of this kingdom, man. But at the end of the day, no matter what you do, it's written. It's over for you. So yeah, on that, we're going to close out, man. And to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh.
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Ruach Kodash.
Double honours to the apostles and all the bishops of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. And shalom to the next one, man.
Shalom. 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 Shalom.